Shusai Sharako is famous for the kabuki actors, but the highlight, the most glamorous ones are Katsushika Hokusai, and then the ones are called Utagawa Hiroshige. So Hokusai and Hiroshige are the greatest masters, and they are both known for landscapes. And both of them also studied the European illusionism. And both of them were born in samurai family. This is what I mean by downward demotion. So their family didn't make it to large-scale merchants. So they had to make a living, so they chose to be ukiyo-e illustrator. I am going to explain why Hokusai is considered one of the greatest. You see that illusionistic perspective, mountain all the way in the background, and then people in observatory, they are a lot larger, right? So those kind of elements. So he was really naturally gifted painters. So he studied the French-Dutch copper engravings. And then his total production team is totally talented. Do you see these colors? So you have black lines, right? And then you have blue, and you have red, and then if you mix something, then you will have a green, but the green is not the same green. It is a little bit darker here, lighter here, and if you see this side, it's the same green, but it has a gradations, right? Like a darker becomes lighter. So, and then if you see this blue dark here becomes lighter, and then you have a white part, and then the red, the same thing. So when you apply the ink on the existing wood blocks, you can control this type of gradations. And most impressive ones are here. The Great Wave of Kanagawa. So Mount Fuji is shown all the way in the background, right? But the focus is these great waves in Kanagawa Ocean. And you have one boat, two boats, and three boats, right? People are rowing together, but you can see like it's like a amusement park roller coaster, right? Big. And then if you see the sky, light blue pink, you have a little bit of yellow. Predominantly, you have a lot of dark blue, lighter blue, and then some white. But do you see that the sea foams, right? The big wave which create white sea foams, they are falling off. Do you see that shattered sea foams here? Like dots. So what does that mean? How do you create these dots? So if on a wood panel, you probably have the shape of these right lines, but then you also have a lot of white dots. So the other areas were carved out of it, so that when you print it, you have this kind of splashed sea foams. So it's incredible amount of collaboration. Of course, he was gifted, but see what I'm saying is that sea foam that we see, that's like a splash of the white ocean wave. You end up having these little marks, and on the wooden panel, you probably made what 300 pieces of these little white dots, so that they don't observe any pigments, and then it shows up as white. So Hiroshige, they were rivals, and I also think that it's nice to have a great competition. So they were always aware of them. But what is amazing about Hiroshige is these lines. Do you see these numerous diagonal lines? Because they had to express the rainy day. Japan has a lot of rain, right? So how did you do this? Again, on a one wooden foam, you have like a basic lines, but then you also have only these raindrops are marked on the wooden panel, and then if you incorporate this, you will end up having these rains. Fine weather, this is snow covered, but you still see the same thing, like the snow is falling. Do you see this idea of snow is still falling? This is cropped images of cherry blossoms. People are enjoying that beautiful cherry blossom garden. It's not really cherry, like a plum blossom garden in Kameido area. Something is seen through the window, right? So all the way to sunset, beautiful sunset from Edo. And this is what Van Gogh really liked it. He owned one of those, the Bridge in the Rain, this particular ukiyo-e prints. And then he made it in his own oil painting. He imitated it. But like these numerous lines, these are made on top of their wood panel. So Japonism is a European art movement in which Impressionists, Post-Impressionists, and other European artists were very impressed or inspired by Japanese art. So it just not just includes woodblock, it includes everything, like ceramics or Kanorimpa style painting and fashion and interior design. So the whole fascination, sensational phenomenon with the Japanese art is called Japonism. But obviously, woodblock prints were readily available because they are painted on piece of paper. And then usually European or Asian art dealers, they will use ukiyo-e prints on top of the bamboo fan, and then they would sell the bamboo fans as an like objects, like a crane or landscape and so forth. So they knew Hokusai and Hiroshige's name. This is Claude Monet's wife, dressed in kabuki style kimono. I've written an essay on this particular case, and I discuss it in the context of cultural appropriation. We probably have time to talk about this in the 19th century as well. Vincent van Gogh, so it's his room. So he had Mount Fuji, plum blossoms, and then Kitagawa Utamaro style, beautiful, like geishas, right? All the landscape. So he owned many pieces of ukiyo-e prints. This is the original Hiroshige, and then Van Gogh saw this, and then he created his oil painting like this. So Hokusai, you can even write an essay or watch a documentary on him, but he was really talented. So he created this 100 ghost stories, and then there are like folkloric stories of like a woman who was wrongly accused and was killed in the well, those kind of stories. Hokusai created all those different monsters with his ideas. This is sort of his signature. There is a branding part as well. This is actually fundamental foundations of Japanese horror movies and other media culture. So that's it. The ukiyo-e prints will be continued in the modern period as well. We will see commercial application of ukiyo-e prints in a modern period. That's the end of Edo period. So I'll see you some other time on modern and contemporary period. So let me stop recording. Thank you for listening.